Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is threatening to pull millions of dollars of federal funding from California, Washington State and New Mexico if, as he alleges, they continue to fail to enforce English language requirements for truckers.
Secretary Duffy did accuse 3 Democratic-led states of allowing drivers to stay on the road despite having English language rules violations on their record. Now, in California's case, Duffy said roughly 34,000 inspections found a language violation, and only one resulted in a driver being taken out of service. In Washington, he says 6,000 inspections found a language violation, only 4 drivers were pulled.
This all comes after a foreign-born truck driver was involved in a deadly big rig crash on the Florida Turnpike and reportedly later failed both English and road sign tests. Take a look. You may remember the viral video that took the internet by storm. You can see the truck driver, 28-year-old Harjinder Singh, allegedly make an illegal U-turn and a minivan slamming into the side. That's a pretty horrifying video. That crash took the lives of all 3 people in the van. Some authorities say Singh, a native of India, was living in the country illegally and was issued a driver's license from California, one of just 19 states that issue licenses regardless of immigration status. That being said, there are conflicting reports about much of this, with some accounts suggesting he in fact did have a work permit while his immigration case was being adjudicated.
Following the crash, DOT officials say that Singh took an English fluency and road sign test, both of which they say he failed, only answering 2 of 12 English fluency questions correctly, and only correctly identifying 1 of 4 road signs that had been shown to him.
This is a safety issue. Making sure drivers of very heavy 80,000-pound rigs can speak the language is truly a critical safety issue. And some complained about it. We implemented it at the end of June, and all of us in America saw what happened in Florida, where we had an individual who we tested this individual after the crash, but no doubt could not speak the English language and could not understand road signs.
Duffy says this case is particularly egregious because Singh was pulled over just last month in New Mexico and he was let go. However, the New Mexico governor's office says body cam footage showed that Singh did understand English in that encounter. Let's watch.
My first time in the already in the 5 year in the no ticket.
No tickets?
Yeah.
I hate to be the first guy to write you a ticket, but...
Full name, sir?
Yes, sir.
Meantime, Singh is currently being held in Florida and he's facing up to 45 years in prison following the crash. An online petition pleading for his, quote, fair sentencing has garnered more than 2.5 million signatures. It calls on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to consider alternative sentences, such as counselling or community service. There's a lot in this one, Robby. What's your take?
Yes, this has generated a lot of conversation in conservative circles, and I understand. 3 people are dead after the illegal turn he made in the middle of in a wrongful place where you can't do that. Look, I mean, it is a safety issue. The people driving big trucks have to, they don't have to be English literature majors, but they have to be able to understand English well enough and more importantly, understand road signs. I think that is a pretty reasonable thing to do. Now we're considering all sorts of pausing of work visas for people doing this that is going to actually like devastate the industry, and I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for people who are foreign workers who drive responsibly, and this is not their fault, and I'm not big into collective punishment, so I kind of feel bad for everyone getting punished because one guy did something really bad, but this guy did do something really bad, and if I lost someone because of this, I'd be pretty outraged.
Sure.
I'd be outraged at officials. It's confusing trying to understand whether he was credentialed correctly and whether it was done right here, or they should have known. It looks to me, if I squint at it, that there was some official neglect in how his situation was handled, getting him onto the road. But yeah, we should be allowed to call for basic safety standards without that necessarily being labeled nativism or xenophobia or something, right?
Yes. Look, first of all, he, assuming from the video evidence, he did something terribly wrong that resulted in 3 people's deaths. Yeah. That is a very, very bad thing. I'm sure it is an enraging thing for the families of who are now bereaved, and I get all of that. The political side of the argument seems to me to throw together quite a few disparate things into one kind of stew that can be perhaps politically advantageous for people like Sean Duffy. For example, you mentioned the issue of road signs versus English proficiency. It is certainly true that anybody driving a vehicle should understand road signs and the basic rules of the road. I don't know what test this man underwent to get that license, and I'm talking here separate from his immigration status. Now, the way
you gotta take tests to drive a car. You gotta get licensed.
Exactly. Now, in terms of, I mean, the whole purpose or the whole guiding principle of road signage is it's mostly not related to language skills at all. It is mostly done by graphics, partly because so many people are, not English speakers, but also because there's a certain proportion of the population that's illiterate,
right.
And so you don't want to
you zoom by them quickly, they're supposed to be quick and intuitive, and you're reading a chapter of a book or something.
Exactly, and you figure it out. So this person appears to have committed a heinously awful driving error, right, and killed people, and should face the consequences for that. I don't really get the bearing of his English proficiency, which appears to be basic but somewhat there, judging from the other stop, to what in fact happened, which is somebody making an illegal U-turn, which, I see cars doing all the time in almost any city I'm in.
Yeah, I think people are using, or some people on the right are using the language argument as a substitute for what they really mean, which is just that, this is true to some extent, stereotypes about how people drive in other countries. I've spent time in other countries, and it's way more aggressive, the driving. I mean, that is true on some level. There are a lot of, in this city, there are a lot of people who deliver food on those motorized moped-type bikes. And guess what? They do drive like maniacs. There's no way around it. It's true. It happens. There's a fear, I think, is what's being expressed about letting tons of people come here and drive like maniacs because that's what they used to do in the place they're from. And this is true.
A very shady argument, really.
I don't know.
If people are driving like maniacs, if people are driving like maniacs, then they should be penalized for whatever traffic violations they're making.
Right.
To suggest that people are driving like maniacs because they're Indian or whatever seems like a crazy argument to me.
I'm not saying it's like hardwired into their DNA or so this is biological. It's just there is more aggressive. I've never been to India. I don't know what the situation is like in India, but I've been to Europe and other places, and the driving is more aggressive.
Well, I would say, and perhaps this will appeal to your heritage.
How is it?
The best driving I saw in any place I visited was in Italy, in fact.
Really?
Yeah, where on highways I thought the driving was much superior to either the US or my native Ireland or Britain. So, I also don't think that means we should let all Italian immigrants, with apologies to the preceding waves of Soaves, that we should just give them like HGV licenses with no test.
I mean, it's a cultural assimilation argument that is being sneakily made. And I'm all for people coming here. I want foreign-born people to come here and drive cars or do food deliveries. It's good work for them. We like those services. Everybody wins. But if it is done in such a permissive manner that there's no verifying that these people are good enough to drive under U.S. conditions, then it's going to poison the support for doing this at all among the populace, and they're all going to get kicked out, and that would be bad.
Well, I think there should be, I'm all in favour of stricter driving standards.
Yeah.
I, of course, being a big fan of big state government, would have a mandatory test beyond a certain age, 70 or 75, for everyone to continue driving.
Oh, we can agree on that. Get those old folks off the road. Yank those driver's license, baby. Gone. Gone. Do you drive?
I do, yeah. I mean, I don't own a car here, but I drive rental cars on a regular basis. That's all.
I have a car, and because my scooter, as a lot of people know, was stolen about a month ago, just before the crime crackdown, I like to think that our dear President Donald Trump was responding to my specific needs.
National Guard defending the Soave scooter.
I've been driving in while I'm waiting for my replacement scooter.
How's that been for you?
Well, I live like right over there, so it takes about 2.5 minutes to get here, and I have no complaints, but I do miss scooting here, especially with such lovely weather.
Are you not thinking about the planet and its effects on your fuel emissions?
No. No, I am not. Didn't even occur to me. Thank you
enough.
for that, Niall. All right, next up, as trade negotiations with China continue, the Trump administration is allegedly allowing 600,000 new students from the communist country to study in the U.S. The backlash from MAGA World next. Stay with us.